Thank you for tuning in to the Zed Bi-Weekly News. You have the co-host today. MJ isn't here, so it's just myself, Golden Globe Master, and Zed Insights, the Larry King of the NFT world.
Not a good comparison. But anyway,
How you doing today?
Good self.
I'm doing.
How are you
I'm
doing?
doing just fine. Just excited to be here. I know we're a little late. We normally stream on Mondays, but we're all extremely busy with things in the real world, and so people should give us. Hopefully, you all give us a little bit of leeway with that. And so, what's the topic that you would like to start with today?
So let's start with the field. If you can bring up the super horses, we should have a screenshot that MJ has kindly provided us.
Yes, one moment, sir.
I'm going to bring up the chat. Get this quick tweet done.
Yeah, I don't know what's up. The chat normally pops up, but it didn't, and so share screen. There we go. Sorry, 1 second. I was a little bit messed up. I understand. Let's proceed. Select screen 2. Allow. Boom. And so the super horses this week are, the top one is the hedge fund, Sentinel, Ready, Set, Boom. As you see, Artois there. So the Know Your Horse guys who have been talking a lot of junk, saying that the new king of 2400, 2600 is now Artois instead of Mula Mula. But Mula Mula's still up here. But wow, look at hedge fund. 870% ROI and a profit of 3.6 ETH.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these horses, that's just so insane. A lot of these horses are the same ones that we've been seeing for the last few weeks. I'm pretty sure like a few of my horses have fallen off. I'm definitely not in this running right now. I found it really tough. Like, I don't know how these people are making so much money. It's good to see Poodle still super profitable, considering that sold recently.
Yes. Wow, look at Ducky here.
Yeah, maybe like a lot of these, pretty like a lot of the horses that we know and well, maybe not love, they're still churning in the profits. Yeah, that's nuts. I wonder how the hedge fund has made so much profit in such a short amount of time. It must be is it a new horse? I haven't heard.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. Is a lot of people, they like to run the horse and then really try not to jump around or try not to say anything. They just sit back and just move in, and then we discover.
Is it just me, or is there a distinct lack of arbitrage horses at the top of this list?
Let's see.
Unless there's like some names that I'm not used to. Although he did sell LBJ Goat, so we can't use that as like the go-to now.
Yeah, LBJ Goats are all.
And Ready Set.
Go ahead.
I think Ready Set Boom is probably one of the very best, I believe, Z1s in the game. And for a long time, I don't think was considered as such. I mean, it's only done 147 races, so that's probably why. Like, it's a relatively new horse, especially when we start talking about Z1s in the game. Was maybe flying under the radar for some time, although I don't think it's going to be flying under the radar any longer.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be opening eyes with a 3.5 profit. Sentinels here, as should be, but I think if I might have been the Know Your Horse guys, I'd have been real quiet. I think they started racing Artois maybe 2 weeks ago. I was watching them stream, and they pulled in a profit of 0.7 already. So that's pretty good.
Very strong, man. Yeah, I just pulled up the hedge fund. Also, like very, very, I mean, well, again, newish horse for the Z1 world, like 124 races. So, yeah, I mean, that must be fun to do 3.6 Ethereum profit in 124 races. I mean, I wonder what the record is. But that's
insane.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's a lot of profit for not a lot of races.
Yep, I agree. And so let me hide this real fast and then come back, pick up, because I don't want this screen to be shown, and pick up the highest profit, I guess, in
Yep.
this
So if we can
week.
move on, maybe we fire up the super horses list. If you've got that.
That was the super horse list.
Oh, that wasn't the most profitable horses of the last 2 weeks.
No, the most profitable. Wait till you see this. Now,
We usually have,
the most profitable horses over the last 2 weeks. Rest in peace with a 4 ETH
uh,
profit, and I think that's from winning that the Netflix race.
did that win the Netflix race?
Um,
I thought it was Sunny something. I mean, I missed it. This is where we're seeing like Princess of Power and stuff. So it's good that we are finally getting some arbitrage horses back. We're not.
point three. Yeah,
Yeah.
point three. Serve Radar Songs owned by JMO Stables at point two as well in here, and Sentinel at
Yeah, you're right.
1.9.
I mean, Sentinel and Rest in Peace. That's got to be from something um, abnormal, right? Can't just be from standard racing.
Yeah, because that's only 38 races.
But I mean, it's kind of cool to see these different horses at the top of this list. They're not horses that I sort of know by name.
Yes.
Maybe like more of a knock on me than anything else. Like Coco Loco, it looks like it's been around for forever. Very nice horse, 461 races. And it seems like it's, to be honest, it's kind of like just a grinded out horse, like zero point 0.8 in profit, 13% win rate, 57%
Oh,
ROI. That would be like just below our super horse tier list. Yeah, Z5 Finney in class one. It's nice to see this sort of like getting spread out. I don't remember seeing that on the sort of like the top profits list previously.
so then the we didn't get the Netflix race winner because that was 10 ETH. We
Oh, okay.
missed out
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that one.
So I wonder like what Rest in Peace has been doing.
Was that the horse that won the tournament?
Do you think the tournament earnings is included in this?
I
I
don't
feel like
know.
I feel like that would be a separate transaction to what MJ's pulling in.
That is true, but to pull in, I'm just gonna pull. I'm gonna pull it up on the side on Know Your Horses, I guess, and then just go down its races.
Well, I have it here, Rest in Peace, like pulled up. So I mean, you can bring it up as well for the viewers. But
Okay.
it's not like it's like a mind blowing horse. 24% ROI on 11% win rate. It has done an absolute S ton of profit, 4.9 Ethereum profit in its lifetime. So it's probably up there with the most profit that any horse has done in the game. There's not too many horses that have even done above 3 Ethereum in profit. But
Okay.
yeah, it's crazy to see something like this grinded out in class one.
And so after pulling this over,
What a monster!
and so let's just hit this drill down really fast. And there has to be a profit and loss in here somewhere that's really big, but it's profiting point three, down point. And here it goes the Redwood Classic, City Classic, November 14th, and that was for three. So it didn't, if I'm not mistaken, this was it placed second.
Okay, so yeah, maybe that is coming into the numbers. Interesting.
And he just didn't include one mortician there because Sentinel also had that race in there. Oops. Sentinel also had the race in here, and that's what its profit was 1.9. So yeah, that's where those
Yeah,
profits
yeah.
came from.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, we should almost ignore them from this, and we're going to talk about that Redwood race a little bit later in the when we get to the news sections.
Yes.
So do we want to move on and move on to the market already? I mean, this is going to
Yes,
be
we
a
can.
kind of depressing topic, as it has been for the last few weeks. But what can you do? So do you
We
want to
can't do
fire up
anything.
maybe the Crypto Slam link first, and we'll go from there.
Okay, one moment. I have to come back over. Um, yeah, the market has been. It seemed to. It's going to stabilize, I believe. shortly, but that's a whole something else we'll get into a little bit later into the stream. 1 second, I accidentally closed the page.
You're right.
So Google Docs and Crypto Slam. New. And so this should go here and bring this over here. Next, connect. And that's a safe site for me to have my MetaMask going, correct?
I mean, I don't connect it. It'll still show even if you don't connect your MetaMask to crypto.
All right.
So it's necessary.
And so show on stream.
Yeah, and if you want, like, you can kind of zoom in if you like highlight the whole period. So just highlight from from closer to where the graph starts. Yeah, or you can even do the last few weeks. And I mean, so actually, like this, when you like do it like that, it doesn't look that bad. Essentially, like in the last few weeks, we've kind of been just flatlining in terms of volume. That is. So obviously, I think as we're about to see, even though the floors are continuing to fall, like volume has been kind of sort of steady. So maybe you're right. Like maybe we are at some kind of market bottom. Who knows? I don't think we've really had any like. I think if anything, we've actually been losing users according to some of the data that I've seen by BG. But if you look, zoom back out, reset the zoom, and sort of get more of a wider trend again. Like so include that whole include all the Zed data if you can. Just cut off from like January, obviously. Yeah, just highlight that whole period. Yeah. So we have the massive initial spike at one of the drops. We sort of had the big peak into the market, like doing as well as we were doing, end of August, and then there's just a slow decline from there. But you know, sort of in November, we haven't really continued to fall necessarily. Like you could say that we are flatlining. I know this is maybe grasping at straws. It is still a little bit depressing.
Yes.
But maybe you are right. We could sort of. I feel like at this point, if you've stuck around in Zed for this long, you may as well just hodl on, right?
Yeah. Or just rethink your business, rethink your strategy for how you go about conducting your stable. If you're going to conduct it like a stable, or if you're going to have fun.
I mean, you said just then previously, do you think that the market may have or is going to start turning around soon? Like, do you have any reasons behind that?
Well, one, with the breeding prices going down, and I do think that Zed's going to make another announcement soon. We're not used to seeing Zed make changes as often as they're making, like rapid fire changes. And over the course of the last 3 weeks, we've had 3 changes to racing.
Yeah. Significant ones.
Yes, very significant one. And we'll cover that in a few, and then I will say my possible predictions. I'm not always right, but I do have a small prediction. But I do think Zed's trying to make changes to the platform to make it easier to access by making the cost of entry lower.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
again, we should probably save it for a bit later. It's hard to read into what exactly their strategy is, as we just like never get any comms around that. But it does seem that like maybe that is behind a couple of their latest changes. But first, why don't we move on to the Genesis floors?
Okay.
And then we can start talking about the events and some talking points.
Alrighty.
Before we get sidetracked.
Pulling this up. Bring this over. Re-show it on the stream, and boom.
So I don't know why. Kind of hard to see. I don't know that the table is the best way to look at it. I mean, essentially, what we're sort of seeing here is that even though most of the Genesis floors have continued to drop, it has slowed a little bit.
Yes.
Sort of start at the. We usually start at the bottom, so. Yeah, I mean, race veterans have dropped, but not by a huge amount. 0.16 to 0.14 for males,
Mhm.
0.17 to 0.12 for females. Unraced, 0.29 to 0.22. So yes, same sort of thing for Bittern. I guess Finny is where we've seen like where things sort of seem to start holding. So for like if you have unraced Finnies, zero point 0.8 to 0.79. I mean that could just be that happened to be the snapshot when I put in this data. So
Okay.
actually, like holding like unraced horses, like
Hmm.
you could be right, just like we saw with the crypto slam data. It doesn't really seem to have dropped, and we are delayed. So we should have done this recording or this stream last week. It's actually been 3 weeks. So
Yes.
considering that in 3 weeks, again, maybe grasping at straws, but that the unraced Finny floor hasn't really fallen, and actually, the
Hmm.
spinny male floor from 0.45 to 0.425, it's dipping, but again, that's not that much. That could just be like, one horse that's holding the floor at that rate. Not that bad.
It could also be that the price of ETH went up. I know I might be in the minority, but I look at the value to USD. I don't look at when I'm buying or selling something. I also sell things according to USD,
Yeah.
and that's what I look at. Even like with the tournament I set up, I set that to USD. So Ethereum has went up a significant amount in the past couple of weeks, and now it's like hodling around. I think 4,500, and
Yeah, I mean,
so
yeah, I think it's little. You are right. Like, I feel it. I sweat it. Like, if ETH is running and my money's in NFTs, I'm like, oh my god, why did I spend all my Ethereum on this trash?
yes.
So I think it does have an effect. And yeah, it's kind of nice actually to have Ethereum not to continue its massive run and take a breather for now, because I do feel like some of the NFT market is coming back. I mean, unfortunately, after Finnies, it does start to drop again, I think. So, like, both Zabo floor is down pretty significantly, especially if you look at the males.
Yes.
Maxi 2, both in terms of red and, sorry, both in terms of race and unrace, pretty significantly down, like more than one Ethereum down. So that's pretty crazy. And again, like, finally, we're starting to see the Z1 floor like really crater. So I think a lot of those like old school hodlers are finally giving up on the Z1s or taking some profits maybe. It was like a meteoric rise for some of them. So yeah.
Yeah, that is true. That is true, and so it should probably start to stabilize because I think what we're used to was maybe if you go back to like August, I think Ethereum was sitting around 2,000,
Hmm.
and so now
Yeah.
it's doubled in prices, and so a lot of people are thinking that the market fell on horses, but in Ethereum, but it pretty much stayed the same in USD.
I mean, maybe. Although, and I think
I
it
don't know
works.
about the top end horses, like the Zabo
Yeah.
market. The Zabo market's always been strange to me
Yeah.
in general, just because of the rarity.
I mean, I think just in general, though, it's sort of like there's two sides of this pressure. Like you're
Hmm.
seeing Ethereum go higher and higher, and you're seeing your Zed run value go lower and lower, right? So
Hmm.
it's just an increasing pressure to sell. Um, and yeah, like it does seem that Zed doesn't want to push marketing buttons for quite some time. So who knows? Though, again, like we said here, like the Finnies have seemed to like flatline. I'm not going to sell anymore because it's kind of hard to time these um, to time the
Runs.
market and to move around that much.
Yes.
So that's my opinion anyway. But yeah, sort of a depressing sign if you're a Z holder. The crypto slam data looked a little bit better, to be honest.
Yes, it did because it showed that the volume in sales has pretty much stayed the same.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
go back to it.
Anyway, should we move on? Why don't we flick over to the individual sales or the individual sales on Hawku on those Hawku links, and we can see if there's been any sort of big sales for races.
All right, and so the first link got me to a listing. I'll drag this over, high to low, I guess. I'll try the second link.
Oh,
Maybe
you
I
do?
should.
I don't have it in USD. Maybe I'll add that in
Yes.
for the next time we do this stream. It's a good idea.
And so I can just go with sales.
Yep. Yeah, and so this is screen that we're after. And over the last few weeks, what we'd seen, I think, was that we had still seen quite a number of sales in terms of paid races,
Mhm.
and I mean, my hunch would be that this would have started to drop off just because Zed is making so many changes to the platform right now. It's really hard to kind of to have predictable ROI going forward, or know like what is the right type of horse to buy. So though again, like maybe a week ago, we weren't really aware of that. So if you go to the top
Yes.
of this list, it does seem to be Genesis, not bred races like we had seen in previous weeks.
Yeah, it is Genesis. Genesis 1.5. This is a Z10 with race 897 races. Another Genesis for
It's
1.5.
They're clearly races though, because you're buying them like way above the floor. But maybe Genesis is like you have something there. We did see a legendary there in the third horse. These are still like it's still a lot of money to pay for a racehorse, right? You want to be damn sure that it's super profitable. But we're not
Yes.
seeing like what we saw in previous weeks with like 2 ETH plus sales. So it does seem to
Yes.
have dropped a little bit here. Although good numbers, I guess. Like there's a good number of horses selling for more than one Ethereum.
This one going for point 0.8, which is a Genesis unraced, unbred, but it's a rare coat with ghost white, and that's
That's
pretty high.
the Pinkman sold today. That's interesting. Very old school horse there. That was my like nemesis early on when I first got into Zed.
Okay.
He never ran against Pinkman. That thing used to just dominate
I
everyone.
heard of Pinkman, but Pinkman wasn't really running where I was at.
Yeah, that's a cool horse. I'd love to have it just for the mystique. And also, I mean, in the last few days, obviously, I don't. What is LBJ Goat? I don't know if that was an off-market transaction or on-market.
Uh, Easy to check. Go really fast, and then he is a V3 Nakamoto exclusive,
Yeah. So okay. So we weren't going to get up to it anyway.
and he
So
sold for 25 ETH. I think it's not.
oh, I
I,
didn't know what the offer. I didn't know what the price was. But I mean, that's a very a nice win for arbitrage. So congratulations.
yes, guy keeps winning, keeps finding racers, keeps racing them, and then to make
Uh,
sales like that, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, he does a great job of getting maximum value both on the sales and racing front.
It doesn't say what the sale was for,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we don't know what the actual sale value was, but yeah, I'm sure it was a big score. Anyway, should we move on to Finnies? We just did Buterin on that
yes.
on sales. Usually, we start to see the races drop off from this point when we go through these the Hawku largest sales.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the like the big money races, for whatever reason, seem to be in Buterin.
Yeah. So let me move this over. There you go. And so
Yeah, I agree with you, Retro. No one's paying that much for LBJ. Maybe in like, maybe if it's still a really really good horse and we 10x the user count somehow.
yeah, nobody's ever going to pay 48 ETH for LBJ Go unless ETH drops a ridiculous amount.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
pay if ETH is like $100. I'll give him 4,800.
okay, so what do we got here? So look, a bunch of like 1.7, 1.5. Again, these none of these really look like. If you look at the race counts,
Well, look
Redeem
at
My
this one.
Heart is maybe the only racer there.
Who's that?
Redeem My Heart.
Okay,
I mean,
but
I don't
no.
know. I'm just going by the race count. I'm pulling it up
So
now.
Soaring Cerema's an elite Z16 Finny that sold for 1.25 4 days ago.
And I mean, that's interesting, right? That's obviously a paid racer, yeah. And it's
Yes.
20% win rate. That looks like a decent horse.
And then this one, it's only 5 races. I wonder if it has odds data. I just want to look really fast. Yep, this one had odds.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah, yeah. And it does
someone's
look like really strong odds, although most of those are free races, which can be deceiving.
well, we don't look. I don't look at free races. I look into these
Yeah.
paid races. And so that's 7.8 in class three, and that was back in January. So I don't even know what the competition was like. So
No, it's
somebody
tough,
saw some.
isn't it? Yeah, that's tough to go off.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, again, it seems that there are still people that are willing to take a punt right now at on races, but we're not seeing like above 2 Ethereum, so
No.
which we haven't seen that in a couple of weeks. Again, other than like the LBJs of this world. And again, we don't know. Does anyone know what Pinkman sold for?
Uh, Good evening, Sangundo. Sangundo. Give me 1 second. I'll go into OpenSea and see if it's on there.
Wants to do that. I mean, Redeem My Heart looks like a very nice horse. 23%, 0.27 Ethereum profit, but on 795 races. So like that is a gamble. Whoever's buying that, because it seems like that kind of horse is a real grinder. When you look at the odds, like
Mm-hmm.
10 odds minimum. They're getting there mainly on volume. I mean, whoever sold that for 1.6. No offense to whoever the buyer is, but it's a bit of a. I feel like they got the better side of that deal. What was the other? Do you want to scroll? Can you scroll down on that again for me
Yes.
briefly, and we'll look at that other racing sale? Maybe that one, soaring. Let me have a look at that horse.
Okay, that's the Z16 Finney Elite.
Yeah,
184 races. I don't know what the profit is, but this is healthy. I want to say because at least the Finney floor is 1.0 for Z5 Genesis unraced Finneys. At least that might be the floor. Yeah, one
yeah.
point.
Actually, Finnies seem to be again, like we saw when we were going through the various floors. Like Finnies seem to be holding value, and I kind of like Finnies, at least with the previous breeding prices. I get that things
Yes.
have kind of changed now. The
Mm-hmm.
Finnies kind of seemed like the sweet spot, like the highest amount of base ability that you could breed at volume with affordably. Now things have kind of changed. Like maybe you could make the argument that you could do Zabos and stuff now. I still think it's probably pretty expensive to, to smash out like 20, 30 Nakamoto breeds. That's got a sting right now still.
Yeah. Well,
Soaring looks like an absolute beast, by the way. Like
okay.
18% win rate, 49% ROI. I mean, um, that's just below our threshold for super horses. Although we do have that rule that it is on average. I think it's above $8 in average
Mhm.
entrance fee. So we don't really know what this person's done here. But
Okay.
1.6, oh sorry, 0.16 Ethereum profit on 240 races is it's pretty good. It's a strong horse. I think that's a decent buy. Like 1.25. I know I can see why people would be shelling that out for sure.
Yes. So move on to Zabos.
Yeah, let's move on.
All right. And wham. And
Pinkman
so
sold for 3 Ethereum.
yes, that's what I just read. That's a
Yeah.
lot. Interesting.
I mean, it's a lot of money, but
So
I think, at the right time, like that owner could have probably fetched at least double that. Especially with a
uh,
horse with a big name for that. I mean, at the right time would have been earlier this year, surely.
yes.
But I mean, these again, what did we see Poodle sell for? Wasn't that like 6 or 7 Ethereum? Poodle
Yes.
seems to have been like the perfectly timed market sale. Uh,
And so we got the Genesis Zabo Genesis floor. It's looking. Um,
so
okay,
these
so the
sales, I mean, the floor for unraced is 2.3 for female, 2.6 for male. So just keep that in mind as we go through these. So anything that's above that, they're like maybe you're buying for the bloodline or for its racing statistics so far. I mean, obviously, also those numbers I read out are very likely to be Z4s. I don't know what the Z3 floor is, but there doesn't seem to be too much above that. I mean, the floor for race is 1.39 and 1.45, or at least was when I took these notes. So all these are above the race floor, that's for sure. So 4.3 is pretty huge, especially for a horse that's raced 20 times. Do you want to dig
20
into that?
paid times and 100. So 102 total, but 20 paid time. The rest of it was all free racing.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of money to pay.
I think this person might be trying to win the tournament, just based off of looking at what's going on, how he's racing today.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, whatever. Not that long ago, this was pretty standard price to pay for a Zabo, for a Z3
Yes.
Zabo. So maybe it's something there, but I don't think you're going to bring back huge amounts of ROI with that horse.
No, no. Unless you sell it maybe a year from now and the price doubles again.
Yep. But I mean, maybe it's not completely unreasonable
Yeah.
if you sales at Zabo.
And Z4 unraced. This to me was. Oh no, it has 11 free races.
Yeah, it's kind
So
of a strange purchase, right?
yeah, 2.65. No, if I had 2.65 ETH maybe 2 weeks ago when it was cheaper, that's a steal. But I'm still thinking about it in USD, and that's close to $10,000.
I'm tempted to buy. Like, I don't have any Zabos. Genesis Zabos. I'm tempted if I start feeling more comfortable about the changes that Zed's making and
Mm-hmm.
coming out with them. I'm really tempted to make a stab at a Zabo. So
Like this UU one here sold for 2.5, which is 2 hours ago.
yeah, I mean that's again. What was the floor again? Yeah, I mean, so that was a Finny or a mare or a stallion.
That's a filly.
That was a filly. So actually, that's I mean, I didn't check the filly floors, but so for unraced unbred, that's probably a pretty good price. Again, we haven't seen those kind of prices in a long time. If you want to enter the Z market, again, who knows when things are going to turn around, but or if they do, but that's a decent price. That's a good
Yes.
purchase, I would say. Should we move on to Nax?
Yes. Um, I didn't see any really elite racers get sold out of the Zabos though, as well.
Yeah, we haven't though. Like we don't usually see them. I think it's because by the time you get to, you're sort of already in the Z in the class one territory, and so many of those big sales tend to happen offline that
Mhm.
we don't often see them in these numbers. Okay, so NAC numbers. What do we have here?
All right, 28 ETH as the highest.
Well, 28
So,
ETH for a
right,
Z2. That's pretty wild, man.
yeah, Z2 Genesis, 28 ETH, but it appears to be an okay racer out of I want to say what 40 races.
Yeah, I'll say it looks pretty incredible. Are they? Yeah. What is that? 40 paid races, is it?
40 paid races, 64 races that are free.
I don't
So
know why I still can't look at statistics on Hawku. I still prefer know your horses for the actual analysis of the horse. Yeah, I mean it looks like a super strong horse though. Even if you flick on paid, 16% win rate on 27% ROI, zero point 0.2 ETH profit on 154 races. That's not huge for a horse in class one, but it's still really strong. It flames in just about everything. It does have odds data. Seems to be a sprinter. Yeah, like
yes,
strong odds data in class one as a Z2. Yeah, that's a good strong class one racer in a Genesis Nakamoto. Hard to go wrong. Although
yeah,
obviously paying like a steep premium.
very steep premium, and then
That being
a
said, I mean, by steep premium, it's really well. It's a Z2 actually. So yeah, very steep premium. You're right. I was thinking Z1.
yes, because if you come down to the Genesis ones, the
Yeah,
that was the Genesis Z2. But if
yeah,
you come down to the Z1 Genesis ones, that are this one was just raced one time, 100% winner, 100% flame probably. I'm not gonna. It was raced in its Griffin won and got second place in its second race at $10 with flames as well. Both
yeah,
races at 1400. When it was raced, it had 4.6 odds, but this was back in February when it got its race. So so I think somebody got a steal right here, possibly at 15.75 ETH for
yeah.
Z1.
Yeah, it does look good. I mean, who knows? It wasn't that long ago I was calling this a dream. I mean, the Z1 male floor was at 15. ETH 2 weeks ago. So that has kind of held actually. It's only the females that have really dropped off.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it seems to be holding around that 15 Ethereum mark. Again, it's not like I've got that lying on the sidelines, but at one point I would like to own a Z1 Genesis. Who knows? 13 ETH. That's pretty. Yeah, that's crazy. So maybe my supposed floor is outdated, huh?
Well, we're looking at high to low. So if
Actual
we,
sales, right? So some of these people have like that's. I guess that's why the floor is the floor. You know, these people have purchased at what is now below the floor, or was a few days ago.
yeah. So what the heck? So maybe a week ago, somebody
No,
sold.
well, there was a wallet hack like not that long ago. So
Oh,
I saw a bunch of like way under market sales. So yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking to look at some of this stuff, man. That just bums you out.
yeah. I don't even want to see that anymore. What you hear?
Anyway, should we move on and we could talk? We can either transition to news or to the events and tournaments. We usually do
Yes.
events and tournaments right about now.
Okay, so I guess we'll slide over into the zombie tournament. I believe the last tournament was the 100, and
Yeah, I don't know whose wallet was hacked retro. I just saw in the Know Your Horses sales bot on Twitter a fire sale on very, very nice Genesis horses. And yeah, so I'm not sure who it was, but yeah, kind of rough. Very rough. It's funny, like I had been calling for Zed to bring out the hardware wallet integration for such a long time. And now that they finally have it, I've got to be honest. Like I'm pretty lazy with moving most of my horses over to it, and just because the Chrome integration with Ledger was so buggy for so long. But I've heard that it's been getting a little bit better. I wonder what percentage of Zed users bothers to use a hardware wallet.
whew, that's an interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, it should be more. I wish it was something that they pushed more. It's obviously it adds a little bit of a level of frustration, and I think it's one of those things that you just assume will never happen to you.
Hmm.
Uh, but it could happen to any of us, you know. And I do think that it is best practice to try and. I can't imagine that keeping your keys offline is not better than just keeping it in a simple, browser extension.
Yes. All right, and so what we have here is the zombie tournament. Um, in the
Which
zombie
tournament? Which tournament was this?
the
I
zombie
haven't.
tournament, it was the last zombie racing tournament, which was about 2 weeks ago. It ended right around right after the Zed tournament, which we'll cover as well. But in the zombie tournament, Cloud Wine took the 100. I forgot the rule set, and Gutters, who I think he's fire selling his stable at the moment. So if you want to contact Gutters for Gutters Racing, it appears that he's now fire selling his his stable. I guess he didn't like the changes to the breeding, which we'll cover in a few minutes as well. Um, but he took second, and then Straight Line Stable took first. Um,
Mhm.
so the and Icicle Ranch with a Lucky Jack horse took fifth. I pulled that out because I like Lucky Jack. It was more than likely a giveaway horse, which is
I,
pretty cool.
iSchool seems to always do really well in these tournaments. It's funny how there's some guys that really just enjoy the tournament racing stuff. I've got to admit,
Hmm.
like it's just a lot of effort for me, just having to like they go for like slightly too long, and I think it takes a little bit too much time. So I'm not like the biggest tournament racer. I prefer just the standard Z paid racing. But yeah, I've noticed a couple of these top stables here, so that's kind of cool.
Yes, and so then we also had the Zed tournament. Most people know how it finished. It was a Poseidon win. That horse drew flames in the last two distances. I called that horse was going to win, but no, everybody was looking at Princess of Power. I don't have a link to Gutter. You're going to have to. You can go into the Discord. He just posted in the Pony Plug Discord, and I don't have a link to his stable. Just look, go on Know Your Horse, look up Selected by You, and bam, you'll have a link to his stable.
Um,
and
yeah, look,
oh,
the new, I mean, this is probably like a decent transition to our sort of more topical topics like the game changes and stuff. But and so yeah, given the Zed tournament, the first tournament, I kind of understand like you want to really reward, or you want it to be the premium horses, the top level horses, the Zed ones.
mhm.
Um, so how do you think the first tournament went?
I think it was successful. Everybody was excited again. Everybody was running. Um, it had a Z17 Butte, I think, at the end. It made it to the final, so he picked up some money. And
Yeah,
so it's like a horse that you wouldn't expect to get there. You saw a lot of the big guns. I think it was by design that Zed put Breathless Edge and Grandeur and a couple other horses in that last race to knock them out really early.
you think so?
Uh, huh?
It'd be pretty rough for those owners, I can
Yeah,
imagine.
because that was like probably one of the most stacked races in Zed history. I was watching that on Zombie Stream the whole tournament, so I was like, man, that's who's gonna get in there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought it was very well done for the
Yes.
first tournament. Although I've got to admit, I guess with this second tournament, they are doing like the split bracket deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it does stand to reason that you should want like some of the best horses, like the Z ones. To be honest, they've been kind of ignored for a little bit of time, right? Like Class One was just so competitive that very
Yeah.
few Z ones were actually doing well. But I also hear the grumbling within the Z community that they're sort of ignoring the smaller stables. That everything seems to be towards the top end right now. Do you feel that?
Um, you think? I don't because okay, so we can get into the changes if you don't mind. Zed made 3 consecutive changes over the last race, last couple of weeks over the um kill my stream or kill this screen. Zed has made 3 consecutive changes over the course of the last 3 weeks for the classes. Um, they did a point system update where first gets 6, second gets 4, and these are class points, and third gets 2.
Yep.
And then 4 no longer have the pity point. 5 is 0, as well as 4. 5 and 6 have 0 points. And then 7 all the way back to 12, I think it's -2 points.
Mm.
And
Yep.
so
Yep.
it's, to me, that's kicking most of the better horses out of class 4, 5, and in some cases, for some of them, 3, and kicking them up into class 2 and class 1. And so what BG did a couple days ago was he just ran the numbers with the class point system. And if you were to run your horses in like class 1 through class 1 all the way down,
Yeah.
most of the horses drop classes, and the elite, the horses that are better go up in classes. And so I almost wish, but the community would probably flames come out of their head if they just said, we're going to deduct all your points as if for all the
Mm.
races you've run under this new class point system and see where you're going to fall where you're supposed to be at.
Well, I wonder if they might do something like that if they do make the full change to an ELO system, and if that is still the plan.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I kind of feel like with the current changes, like it's you can still tank, but there are very few profitable. There are very few horses that can do it. I don't necessarily agree with you though. Like I think that these latest changes, I don't think it makes it any easier for those lower tier horses. If you have a profitable horse, it's still gonna get kicked up into those higher classes. So yeah, whilst like a lot of horses would actually be in a lower class than they are now, according to
Mm-hmm.
BG's data, I don't know how many of those horses would be doing that in a profitable manner. Like again, it
Yes.
just the reason if you're winning, like if you're profitable, you're winning, and now you're
Mm-hmm.
getting 6 class points for wins. You really need like 3 down ranks for that. Yeah, I don't know. I think they seem like hell bent on this war against sandbagging, which I understand to some extent. But
Mm-hmm.
if you take it to its logical conclusion, it really means that all horses have to be retired eventually. And so
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's where their latest changes to the breeding fees come in. It's just hard. Like this sort of comes back to me with the frustrating point with Zed. They're making these changes, and it's hard to like critique them too heavily or be for them because it doesn't really come with much communication around what the strategy is behind their implementation. I mean, yes,
Yes.
it's like anti-sandbagging, but anti-sandbagging also just means that eventually all horses become non-profitable and we retire them all, right? Or
Yes.
most of them, 99.9% of them.
Yes.
So, so like, I wish they had some kind of communication with these class system changes. Like, hey, we want to, we have this specific vision for Zed. These are changes to help us get towards that. Yeah,
And then they also, with that change with the class point system, you can no longer race in a higher class than what you're in. So a
right.
class 5 horse that like a Princess of Power when she was in class 4 or class 5, she could no longer. Oh, there's a $500 race. So yeah, I'll jump in this one too. Go up
Yeah,
there, snipe that one, and then come back down.
yeah. Again, it definitely makes those top horses less profitable. There's
Yes.
no way around it. That was one of the biggest reasons to down class was just so you had the class selection, so you could always be in like an optimal race. Um, and I sort of like that they are like, and hopefully this is part of their strategy. It's kind of nice that they're using this market dip to implement a lot of these changes where people can't be quite as pissed off because it's like, well, the market's already down. You're not necessarily completely crippling the value of these high-end races. But yeah, I can see why the market is kind of suffering for the sales of paid races. Like when we looked at that, we didn't really see that much above 2 Ethereum. It makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. It's really hard to know right now where they're going with the game. It's hard to critique it or be for it, but that's a lot of money to like gamble on a class system that's in such a state of flux. We don't really know who's going to be all that profitable going forward. And like you're saying, like yeah, even horses like Princess of Power and things like that, I think they're definitely going to be making less money because they have just less race selection. And now that they've adjusted the entrance fees, yeah, that's tougher as well.
Well, we did see that her profit fell under an ETH for the last 2 weeks as well,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
and
So
she's
there you
normally
go.
at like
Right.
1.5 in the 2 week frames, or close to 1.7.
Right. Right.
And then the last change, besides no racing in the higher class, was they started. The first change was the minimum and maximum. They
Mm.
capped the minimums and maximums for each class, and let's see. I was like, at first, and then I realized what it did to people who were stuck in class 1 that might have just wanted to race in class 2, and then some of the people in class 2, it just made it too expensive. And then so they this week when they made the change to the point system, or excuse me, the no racing in higher classes, they added they kept the maximum but capped off the minimum, and then doubled with class 4 can race for, because class 4 was stuck at $5, now it's at $10.
Right. I really like this.
Yes.
This is one that I've been for quite some time. Like this is the area of skill I think that they were missing for quite some time. In that you at least had to come up with a strategy if you had a course that could essentially choose its class of like, where am I going to get the most amount of profit, And so like this, at least there's a certain level of or a lot of opportunity cost now for being
Yes.
in because even though the maximum is $10, isn't there only
Mm-hmm.
one of those races? So the chances of it actually populating are super slim. And now you can't compete up like of it populating with your perfect
Mm-hmm.
um, distance, right? So
Yes.
especially because they're filling quite slowly, like you're not going to you might not even be able to get your full, optimal 8 races or whatever it is off in a day. It's unlikely. So there's a lot of opportunity cost of being in like class 4 versus class 3 for a really good horse.
Mm-hmm.
So now I think with all these changes that they brought out to really, really target sandbagging, again, I think people are still going to have to find a way to do it unless they just want to scrap their horses. But for sure, they've really taken a lot of the profit out of the horses that are going to try and do it. But in general, I'm a fan of this change. It was more confusing to me before now that they brought back the $2.50 minimum price into those higher lower class races, depending upon which way you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Now it makes a little bit more sense to me as well. So I think I am for this, for that change for sure.
Yes. I have no problem with there being a maximum, but a minimum should be around 250, maybe even $1.25 just for class 5,
Yeah,
since
yeah.
it's only a maximum of $5 and nobody's going to want to, nobody who's racing outside of people who are grinding are going to want to race for $5.
What do you think about like all these three changes then in general? Like if you consider this, all of the class changes, although
Mm-hmm.
again, I think we're all kind of waiting. They keep saying this ELO change is going to happen.
Yes.
Um, I mean, that could throw like an even bigger spanner in the works. But like, let's say that they stop now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the class system?
If they stop now, I actually think that, all right, after the tournament, if everybody remembers, we did a before the tournament started or after the tournament started. I think 3 weeks ago with our last Zed Bi-weekly news, I did say that they're going to figure out a way to stick those horses up in Class 1. And so I'm going to make another prediction this weekend. I think that after this tournament runs, we're going to have uh, either the ELO system will be out or we'll have an expanded class system, one or the other. Because I feel like they're just these tournaments were for gathering data on horses and how people race. Because you can simulate what happens with the horses, but you can't simulate how people race the horses.
Hmm. I mean, my theory is that these tournaments are a trap. Like I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to join, man. The penalties of downclassing now are so severe that
Mm,
if you're going to make a stab at one of these tournaments, you pretty much have to, especially if you've got a good horse, a really good horse, you sort
mm-hmm.
of have to commit to that being a tournament horse from now on, or just commit to spending, a couple of $100 on downclassing it out after the tournament. And if you're right, we get to the end of this tournament and then they implement ELO and you're stuck in like class 1, like good luck, man. That is going to be a world of hurt. So yeah, the I just can't bring myself to do it. Not yet. Not until we see like how these tournaments are going to play out so long, because I think there's a good chance that some of these horses just kind of get stuck as being their only tournament horses from now on, and that's
Yes,
a rough world to live in.
yes. For depending on the horse, I can say that I took a brand new horse from Class 5 all the way to Class 3 just in the free races on the tournament. So
Yeah, there you go.
uh, got what 20 more races to go.
Right. But then what are you going to do with that horse afterwards? I think that in their future tournaments, it would be really cool if they just start playing with completely different formats, or if there's kind of like a no risk option. Like they just have completely separate tournament races and that they don't interfere with your normal class system rating. It doesn't really make sense that it does screw up your normal class rating, right? Like why are they mixing these two worlds? It should just be the tournament system and a paid race, money system.
Yeah, yeah. I was
That's the problem with it at the moment. Otherwise, I'm all for the tournaments. I can't bring myself to participate.
well, I was railing yesterday when I was streaming, or was it earlier this morning? I went on a rant that it was completely stupid for them to for this tournament for them to have you gain points and not lose points. That's
Mm.
just
Well, I mean, I can see why they did it. I mean, everyone was exploiting the living hell out of the free down ranking. I was. Every horse that I didn't have in the tournament, I was like trying to get that thing into class 5 as quickly as possible. Free money, right?
I'm not disputing that. What I would say is don't give or take class points.
I agree. Yeah, it is just kind of crazy. And then the fact that that's not the case again almost makes me feel like there's tinfoil hat time. Like, yeah, there is that strategy that they sort of want to get a lot of these horses out of the lower classes. They in 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 a weird way, I feel like this is their version of a burn mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have this carrot in that, hey, we you have a chance at this large prize pool, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
suckers everyone into these tournaments. Meanwhile, they've made all these changes that make it either incredibly costly or, borderline impossible to do it profitably to like get your horses back down. So yeah, I don't know. Suspicious, a little bit tinfoil hatty, but yeah, just like you're saying, like the reason that just because like it's that it does take class points makes me feel like something like that's going on.
Yes, that's That's a good. I didn't even think about that, and so that's a good point right there. That
What about?
it
Sorry.
they might be trapping these horses up, but hopefully they run it like a seasonal system. Like if I
That would
would
be
do
good.
an elo system, it would be seasonal, like maybe a month. However, like if they're gonna run a tournament once a month, then that would be the season. When the tournament ends, then the season's over, and then like you would have maybe a week of preseason. Like how I don't know if you've ever played like League of Legends or Smite or Apex Legends or any game with a seasonal system.
Yeah.
Um, you start the season back down, and in League of Legends, like you have to play again. Like if you're in Champion League, you won't
Mm.
start back off in Champion League. You got to do your 10 matches, and then your 10 matches you can start at the bottom of Champion League, and then it plays itself out.
I've got to. I think though, well, like one of the issues is that they have like there's all this horse inflation, right? Like so, the
Mm-hmm.
horses are getting better and better over time. So if you don't have a way to burn off some of those horses, or at least the really good ones, it just gets harder and harder. And breeding, especially, just gets harder and harder. Your chances of getting a profitable horse from breeding, are just eventually they're going to be like basically nothing. You know?
I forgot to add this in our pre-talk. That was brought up on Discord today by Rob that
Oh,
they are working on a burn mechanic for breeding, a burn mechanic and maybe a breed token. That was discussed in Discord today.
oh, that's cool. That's really cool. I mean, well, I like the burn mechanic to get rid of like horses in general, but we're still not going to lose good horses. You know, like good horses. So I kind of wonder if they envision a world in which they can use tournaments. You breed a horse, you have a specific period of time
Mm-hmm.
that you can like generally make profit from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although you can't just downclass it and leave it profitable forever. And then eventually it just gets retired and goes into the it's a tournament horse only type pool, right?
Yes.
And then with these breeding changes, maybe that's the way. Like maybe we need to just start focusing on building stables around breeding, knowing that if you are able to breed a profitable horse, you sort of have a, I don't know, 3 to 6 month period where in which you can kind of play the class system, but over time you're going to have to migrate it to being a tournament only. And so then maybe that's the way that they make it fair in some kind of way for people to get into the game.
Yeah. That's a good way. That's a good point as well. Um, just want to say the great thing about this game is for as many people that play the game is as many different people that could possibly have a solution that think of solutions and stuff. So I do not envy the Zed team that's working on this at all. That's a whew,
Yeah, it is rough, right? And
yes.
again, we're in such a period of change and flux right now that it's hard to know what to think. But it is on the flip side, it is good to just see them start like cranking out changes. For the longest
Yes.
time, we're like, where is everything? Like, where are
Yes.
these changes? Where are these improvements, man? You know. So to be honest, I'm all for it. I hope that they keep up with this like crazy rate of change. Let's completely fucking change the game right now. May as well, right? And
Yes.
just keep bringing out these weekly changes. I do wish it came with a little bit more communication with regards to what the end goal is. But in terms of rate of change, at least it seems to be finally happening.
And so they also follow along with chat real fast. Quick Stables. They did also lower the price of breeding as
Yep.
well. Let me see. Let me bring this up really fast. Sorry. Let me save the image to the desktop. And so, if you didn't know that they lowered the price for breeding, that has also been lowered. Let me bring this over here, pick this back up, and open this up, and minimize this. Sorry about that. And show on stream again. And so, as you can see, the price for Z1 Nakamoto's adjusted fees and ETH, it looks like it's 0.081. Um, if this is true, which is the new breeding fees, then this is really, really low. This might really reflect the market, but this is going to
Yeah.
be
I mean,
ridiculous.
yeah. And like we're saying, like maybe it does go along with my theory, right? Like
Mhm.
they bring the breeding fees down. Like that's where you can like have a chance at running it profitably. It's a significant drop. I mean, this changes things for sure. I always do my breeding on like one set day. I do my breeding on the 28th. It's
Mhm.
nice to have this change beforehand. Again, like though, the flip side of this is you see that massive inflation of horses again. If we get like a huge another wave of breeding, like that means that racing gets tougher and tougher yet again. So, um, yeah, that is the other side of this. But hard to complain. Breeding's fun, right? Like, it's cool that it's going to be more approachable again. What do you think?
I think it will be fun to collect because now if you're a Buterin stable and you wanted to get some knack blood in your head in your stable, there are going to be people that put it in there for the minimum and just not care. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, point 0.08 0.08. It's like 200, 225 or something.
I haven't been keeping up. Like, have you followed the? I know for like a long time you couldn't really get Z1 breeds, right? Like it was kind
Yes.
of hard to. And so, have you followed with that? Is the floor on the Z1 stud fee? Is that
I
like?
didn't actually look at the. I didn't
Yeah, I
pull
haven't
up anything for breeding today.
we haven't really done much homework. Yeah, I mean, in general, it's kind of fun. My strategy for a long time has been to focus on finnies for breeding because I felt like they were the highest kind of base you could get
Hmm.
with with still being able to breed them en masse, right? Like
Yes.
you could actually crank out like a decent number of Finny stallion breeds, and so that really helps with this. And maybe now I might even sneak in the odd Zabo, but because previously I didn't think it was worth it, but yeah, I think now it's still going to follow along with my main strategy of primarily breeding from Finnies. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Well, I might start breeding from Zabos. I was breeding from Zennies, and I'm used to paying it 0.05, sniping Finny Genesis at the minimum. Before it was 0.051, if I'm not mistaken,
Hmm.
for Finny Genesis, and so. Hey, I can step my game up and get some Zabo blood into my stadium.
And look, I don't know if this is the right thing to do because I don't know if he wants it public yet. So I'm not going to like give it a full shout out, but I will say, if you want like an insider tip on breeding, go and hassle Shady Lane Stables. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this tool is public yet or not, but he's given me a sneak peek, and I think it's quite easily the best breeding tool that I've ever seen. Like scary good. So
I
yeah,
have I have to see if it how close it is to the breeding theory that I released a couple of days ago.
it could be a good one. Either I mean, it's definitely the tool I'm going to be using going forward.
Okay, and so that would what do we have left on the news?
I think we're kind of good for news. We were going to do like a mini like debate as to whether we like the. I mean, what do you think about the class system? Do you think it's been a good change so far, or
Yes,
not?
we're both in agreement there. We did do a debate on that. I will say, I did start up. I did with help from Goodnight Zed Retro, with a lot of help from Zed Retro and Lucky Jack and a couple of other content creators. We did start the Digital Breeders' Cup, and I will say that I was thinking about maybe refunding everybody because the breeding prices were too high. And I was
Mm,
telling everybody if they were going to enter the breeding tournament, the Digital Breeders' Cup, to wait for this announcement. And this announcement's perfect for the Digital Breeders' Cup because it really now you're not spending an arm and a leg to possibly race a donkey, or even though you can race 10 races, but you're not going to feel bad about entering your horse. And so everything's now extremely affordable here for running your horses, or breeding your horses to put them into the tournament. So now I will suggest for everybody who was going to get into the Digital Breeders' Cup to go ahead and breed your horses.
yeah, awesome, man. I'm excited for that one. To be honest.
Yeah, it's 9 tournaments where the winners face each other. So if you really think about it, it's 9 separate tournaments based on the bloodline and the bloodline, which is Nakamoto, Zabo, Finna, Buterin, and the blood type, which is Genesis, Legendary, Genesis RNN, but Legendary exclusive, and then Elite Cross and Pacers have their own. So it's gonna see who's gonna be the best breeder at every level, or who can breed the best horse. And I hope people go in and have a breeding theory or breeding tool and really put it to work and see who does the best possible job.
Sounds like a fun one. Sounds like a lot of work if we're gonna bring if you're gonna enter all of those tournaments. But yeah, I'm down for it, man. I can't wait for that.
Yes, can't wait as well. And so, just going to go back to the itinerary really fast. And
Again, I think we've pretty much hashed through it, unless you want to go over the class changes like one more time. But I think we've sort of both given our thoughts on that.
oh, the last thing is you did say you're not going to enter the Fibonacci Cup.
Yeah, I'm not going to enter. I mean, are you?
I've already entered three horses, and they're all up a class. So
I'm just too scared. I'm too scared of the this class system change. I don't think we know enough yet about how things are going to play out and how it affects the profitability of horses. My feeling is, in general, that the super horses are probably going to be fine. Mid-distance horses probably got really screwed over. And if you have anything that's entry level, like if you have a horse that was previously only profitable in $2.50, I'm yet to see a single horse that could only race $2.50 races be profitable in the long run. I think there is probably a chance you could like perfectly thread that needle, but it is going to be really hard nowadays. So, yeah, if you're going to enter this tournament, I think you want to make sure it's a beast and expect to be paying some hefty fees to down class afterwards.
yes, I agree with that. And so,
It's like the entrance fee.
and
It's not
so,
really free. Yeah.
my only strategy is if you're going to enter the Fibonacci Cup to just keep smashing it forward. Maybe even the Fibonacci Cup may turn into a donkey tournament. So run your donkeys. And the other thing you could do is if you have a newer horse and you don't want to pay to see its distance preference, you can use those free races to test your newer horses.
Yeah, it is nice to have the free races, like just there and in general. I agree with that. I think that's cool.
Okay. And so thanks
I just
everybody. Go ahead.
Oh,
What
sorry.
was
I was
that?
going to say one final thing. If people are interested, I am going to be doing a giveaway today. I
Oh,
bred a horse from Saga Bolton, probably one of my best horses, one of the few horses in game that have done over three Ethereum in profit. I haven't announced it on Twitter yet, so just keep an eye out. It'll come out. I'm giving away in partnership with Central Boss with his Wizards project. So we're giving away both a wizard from that NFT drop and a Saga Bolton offspring. So yeah, keep an eye on that if you want chance at a free horse and a free NFT.
oh, and you also have another interview coming up on Friday. Am I
Oh,
not mistaken? Friday or Saturday?
I mean, I'm doing it on Friday or Saturday. I don't know when it will be published.
Oh,
I'm
when
really
you're going to release it?
excited.
All
Yeah, I mean,
right. So,
we can
I
plug that
apologize for
as
that.
well if you really want.
What was
Uh,
that?
I mean, we can plug that as well if you want as well. It's true.
Yes,
Like
of
I'm going to be
course.
putting out an interview soon with one of the main guys behind the Pegaxi team. It is like kind of a mashup between Zed and Axie, so interesting concept. Anyway, I'll say that.
Yes. Make sure if you aren't already subscribed to ZNFT, make sure you subscribe to ZNFT over on YouTube. Um, I don't
Untitled
call him
Chapter.
the Larry King Live of the NFT world for nothing. He literally does the best overall interviews because he gets people to rebuild their strategies and stuff like
Thank
that.
you.
So he does really 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 good interviews. It's no getting around that. And so going to thank everybody for showing up today. What I'm going to do is raid into the Pony Plug because I think it's Wheel of Deals. Go over there, try to win a horse from Lucky Jack, and everybody have a great night. And just say ZNN sent you when you get there. And so that's going to be in 6 seconds or so.
Thanks, guys.
And once again, thank you all for showing up tonight. We should be back in 2 weeks, and we will be back Sunday with an interview with Doofy. Last time he couldn't make it because he had to take his dog to the vet. But everybody have a great day, and just say ZNN sent you when you get there. And so, boom, it should have rated.
Yeah, I
And
think we're over.